My flight was delayed by over an hour, due to what the airline described as a minor technical issue. I have an aversion to flying anyway, so this didn't do much to boost my confidence. At any rate, it was a pleasant surprise to me that we, after an unusually bumpy flight, landed safely. With a sigh of relief, I walked out of the terminal building on a hot Florida afternoon, and eventually got into the large air-conditioned limousine that was waiting for me. Although the thought of having to make the return trip in just a day or two was twirling somewhere in the back of my mind, I had more important things on my mind at the moment. I was once again very nervous as I climbed out of the car outside the hotel. I was in an unfamiliar city, in a country I had only seen in movies and on television. Unfortunately, mostly crime shows. Not the kind of programs that give you confidence in your safety when visiting these places, especially if, like me, you don't travel much. Anyway, as I got out of the car, I was somewhat relieved to find that Paul and Della recognized me immediately and spoke to me. "Hi, Mike. We weren't sure you'd make it in time. We'll get the luggage and send it to the room. Now you better get going." "She's waiting in the lobby," Della said. Paul gave me a brief nod of greeting and headed to the back of the car to get my suitcase from the driver. I must admit, I hadn't expected the place to be so grand. The hotel lobby was gigantic, and there seemed to be several hundred people wandering everywhere. In reality, there were probably no more than 30 or 40. How the hell do they expect me to find a woman I've never seen in my life? God only knows, I asked myself as an extremely attractive woman suddenly appeared in front of me, dressed in a small red, obviously designer, cocktail dress and holding a matching clutch in her left hand. "Mike?" she asked with a charming smile. Yes, Holly?" I whispered back, somewhat stunned by her unexpected beauty. Under the circumstances, Holly was not what I had expected. Holly smiled again, but surprised me even more by hugging me and kissing me on the cheek. Overcoming the initial shock, I summoned up all my courage and returned the favor. "Sorry, it must be an English thing. We don't usually hug women we've never met before." By then, though, Holly and I had been emailing and talking to each other on the phone for months, preparing for this little encounter. I really didn't know what to expect. "Did you have a good flight?" she asked. "No, Holly, I don't need any more flights," I replied, then explained. "A few years ago, I was involved in a very rough landing. In fact, it wasn't far from a crash. The airplane made a real mess, but I think the local scrap metal dealers were pleased. At any rate, it kind of shattered my confidence in air transportation. Had I known that such a beautiful lady would meet me here and I'd be lucky enough to spend an entire evening with her, then maybe the flight wouldn't have been so bad." "Thank you. I'm very flattered that such a handsome gentleman would pay me such a compliment." "It's not flattery, Holly. In fact, I find you so beautiful that I have to wonder how we ever got into this situation in the first place. I don't know if it was embarrassment or nervousness that made me sway like that." In retrospect, I usually never talked to a woman or flirted the way I did with Holly for the next 2 hours. Notice, looking back at what I actually said, I have to admit that most of the time I was talking absolute nonsense. My mother always said that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. "Maybe some people's eyes don't see what others see," Holly replied. "I'm sorry, but I found the last few months very depressing except for our correspondence." Holly smiled. "I thought the whole thing would really upset you." "Oh, don't think so, Holly. It was only in the beginning, but then I enjoyed our little emails and chats and it became so necessary that I was really looking forward to it. Honestly, for weeks now, I've been looking forward to coming here and meeting in person." Holly, I looked her over from head to toe. "If I'd known how beautiful you were, it's a hell of a surprise. I still don't understand why you chose me. And who better than 34-year-old Mike Crosby married to Avril?" Holly grimaced. "For 10 years now, they don't have kids. Rumor has it it's Avril's choice. Mike is a maintenance manager at a hospital near where they live. He hates that job, by the way." "God, you're so thorough," I exclaimed. "No, not me, Mike, but the people I hire. I have some pictures of you." Holly's face flashed with a questioning expression for a second. "And another thing. You look very smart in them. Maybe those pictures are the reason I chose you as my secret lover tonight." She smiled at me and winked slightly. "I think you're flattering me, Holly," I replied, smiling. Fortunately, at that moment we were interrupted by Paul and Ella, the couple who had met me outside the hotel, coming over to join us. The boy took the luggage to the room. "Mike, now are you both ready for the big show?" Paul asked. "We always are. How about you, Holly?" I asked, throwing the ball into her court. Yeah, I think I'm ready, she replied. I looked somewhat reticent, considering we were going through this whole charade at her insistence. Look, Holly, you know you don't have to do this. Once we get in there, you'll realize there's no turning back. I can even go in there myself if you want. Don't be silly, Mike. That would defeat the purpose of the drill, wouldn't it? Do you really think I came all the way from Montreal to miss out on the fun? Come on, be brave. So shall we go? Holly said, taking my hand, but then she looked at Paul and asked, intimate enough. I guess I should have felt awkward, but for some reason I didn't. Come on, guys. Married or not, you all know what it feels like when a beautiful woman gets a little closer than she really should. We all have instincts that can, if you let them, take over in circumstances like this. My baser natural instincts definitely took over, although I was very nervous. I couldn't think of any reason to try to control them. Yeah, come on, guys. You two lovers, you're having a secret date away from your spouses. Make it look right, replied Della in a voice like a movie director. Without my permission, Holly put her left arm around my waist and her right arm around my waist. Then she pressed herself very close to me. Normally, I would have felt close to the point of awkwardness. Yeah, here's the ticket. Go ahead and try it and don't forget all those gooey eyes. Good. It won't be that hard, I replied, looking at Holly beside me. Hey, watch out, Holly. Looks like our Mike is out here on the hunt, Della commented. Holly didn't answer, or rather she couldn't answer because when I looked down at her, she caught me off guard again and kissed me on the lips. Sorry, Mike, she said, sensing my embarrassment. I should have asked, but I need to make sure my lipstick is convincingly smeared. Holly, when you want to smudge your lipstick, don't ask. Maybe I should apply for a full-time job as a lipstick smudger, I said and kissed her. Yeah, well, it's not every day you get a chance to kiss a woman as beautiful as Holly. Married or not, I'm only human. Sorry to interrupt you guys, but are we doing this or not? Because if you want, we can skip right to the bedroom scene. They left. Maybe later on, Holly whispered to me, giggling before tugging lightly on my waist and dragging me toward the hotel lobby. Despite all her demonstrative bravado, I could sense that Holly was almost as nervous as I was, so I took the remark as nervous chatter. Entering the living room was a bit of a disappointment. Really? The place was pretty crowded. But I'll add that I noticed a few guys showing much more than mild interest in the stunning woman in the little red cocktail dress snuggled against my side. Not that I could blame them. I was having a hell of a hard time not looking at the incredible cleavage Holly was showing off in that dress. I think I strutted around looking as important as the cat that ate the canary. It had been a long time since I had been so proud of the woman I was accompanying. Paul and Della took the lead, and we followed them to a table against the wall. The waiter came over, and we ordered our drinks, and I found sitting with my back to most of this room uncomfortable because I could only stare at the stage where a small orchestra was playing. I actually wanted to scrutinize everyone in the place, but that might give the game away. Our drinks arrived, and the four of us made small talk, mostly about my delayed flight. This isn't good. I think we're going to have to up the ante, Paul said. Didn't they see us? Holly asked. Too immersed in themselves, I don't think they've said a word to the other since we came in. Go on, you two, mind your own business. I held out my hand and Holly took it as we both stood up. I have to warn you, Holly, that I'm not Gene Kelly, I warned her. I'm sure you can handle it, love, Holly replied with a grin. Love? I asked. But that's what you're supposed to be tonight, isn't it? Oh yes, it's a damn shame we have to play these silly games, isn't it? Who's playing? Holly said, winking at me, wrapping both arms around my neck and pulling me to her. I wish, I thought to myself. God, if the guys in the office could see me now. It was already the third set since we'd arrived, and they were playing slower. Oh my God, did I really do that? Holly asked, squeezing into me. I'm sorry, but desirable women usually do that to me, I replied, blushing slightly. I can't say we actually danced, literally. We just swayed in the same spot, slowly twirling around. I have to say it was one of the most enjoyable dances I've had in years. Suddenly another couple pushed us slightly. You've been spotted, Paul whispered. Be careful, you might look the wrong way. Concentrate on the dance. I looked at Holly again, who was smiling charmingly back at me. Holly, you're one hell of an actress, I thought to myself. You know, I hope the balloon doesn't go up too soon. And like that, I told her. I can feel it, love, she said with a cheeky grin, and then pressed herself even tighter against me. I wonder, Holly, if you have sadistic tendencies, I remarked, smiling. I like to tease, Mike. This evening was the best joke I could think of. I don't know what expression appeared on my face, but it made Holly laugh out loud. I only wished I really was the person she was really teasing, but I knew the good Lord could never look at me so favorably. Oh, don't look so dejected, Mike. After all, you don't have to rush back to the UK, do you? We can always take a few days to enjoy the Florida sunshine. Now that we've been spotted, let's make it look really good. Next thing I know, Holly's head is resting on my shoulder, and she's chewing on my neck and earlobe. Hey, take it easy, girl, or I'll have an accident, I warned. Holly giggled in response and, more importantly, didn't stop her manipulations. She doubled down on them, for that matter. Much to my relief, the band's performance ended before I lost control, and we returned to our table. Holly was walking, holding my hand and dragging me along behind her. When we got closer, Paul gestured for us to sit down, but his eyes were fixed on something that was happening across the room. That's right. He's on his way. When he comes over, you can stand there and argue with him, but don't raise your hand at him, Mike. We can handle any rough stuff. That's what we're paid to do. Paul said, stepping forward. Is she coming? I asked. No, I don't think she realized it was you. That's if she saw you at all. She was standing with her back to the dance floor. But she's watching intently now, so she'll probably spot you as soon as you stand up and turn around. What the hell is going on here, Holly? What are you doing here, and what the hell are you playing with that asshole? Who is he anyway? Asked an angry voice from somewhere not far from my left shoulder. I stood up and turned to face the guy. Holly was dancing with that asshole just like you no doubt danced with my wife.